I previously tried to post on here with a few of my experiences rolled into one. However, I did not realize this broke the rules of this page, so I'm going to be posting frequent updates on individual experiences. The advantage to this is that I will feel further inclined to include more details, as each post will be dedicated to this specific encounter. However, many of the following events happened years ago. Please learn from my posts as much as you enjoy them. I have been a park ranger in a national park that's located in the United Kingdom, England, for just over 10 years. I'm not going to tell you which one or even the county of which it's located for the sake of my job, as I still work there. But there are some pretty weird things that you find every so often while on shift. Things that my superiors would likely not appreciate me sharing online. My job mainly involves patrolling the trails and checking that they're all in safe state for people to walk through. I was also tasked to talk with school children in assemblies and such after about a year on the job to express how important it is to stay with the group and on the trails. I gave them pretty obvious reasons for this, but little did I know, I would soon discover some of the horrifying truths as to why they should never wander off. The first story I'm going to share with you took place on a beautiful spring morning in June, I think. This was during my first year on the job. The sun was still low in the sky, but it was slowly rising and brightening my surroundings. I was on a normal morning patrol through one of the deeper trails, as it hadn't been checked recently, and protocol was to frequently check all the trails for fallen trees and any potential natural hazards to hikers. It was such a beautiful morning. I remember walking along with a slight smile on my face as I listened to nature waking up in the trees, and I found the cool breeze very relaxing. It had a truly peaceful effect on my mood. Suddenly, the trees to my left were filled with the sounds of birds squawking loudly as they frantically flew away. I stopped and listened for a moment. Silence. A quote I read from another story I've read here reads very true to this situation. Prey is silent when predators are near. Now, understand, we don't have any bears or wolves here in England. Nothing like that. So I supposed it could be a deer that had snapped a twig. However, the noise wouldn't usually drop like that, as deer don't pose much of a threat to wildlife at all. I continued on, not thinking anything of it, and after a short time, I got the urge to check behind me. There was a man walking maybe 100 meters back, and I was on a long straight part, so it was easy to tell. I was confused, as the trails aren't usually used until a little later, when early dog walkers would show up, and even then, few would wander this far into the woods at this time of the day. He seemed to be walking at a very relaxed pace, his hands in his dark blue hoodie pockets, and he had faded blue jeans on. I radioed back to ask if anyone had seen someone enter the trail I was walking shortly after I left, but no one had seen anyone come in or out other than the occasional dog walker. I thought nothing of it, but continued on at a slightly hurried pace. I usually wouldn't be bothered about being out on my own with another stranger. I wasn't a small bloke, nor someone to get spooked easily. However, this guy just gave me a bad feeling. I was approaching a gate that leads to a much denser area of the woodland. It was more like a thick forest. And as I closed the gate behind me, I noticed this man had stopped dead in his tracks. He seemed to be staring right at me, but I couldn't be sure. Then, he broke into a sprint. Not a light jog that someone out for exercises might use. I'm talking a full-on sprint. It was almost aggressive. I freaked out and turned to run. Why would a complete stranger who was previously so calm and relaxed suddenly be sprinting at me? He hadn't called for help or even waved to me. Fortunately, the trail's long, straight section was over, and I ran around a curve and hid behind one of the many large rocks that were by the side of the trail. I could hear his heavy footsteps thudding towards me, right until he was just on the other side of the rock, and he stopped, again, dead in his tracks. He wasn't even out of breath. He just seemed to stand there for a while, then just walked off. I waited for what must have been close to 10 minutes to be sure he was far ahead, and radioed the strange encounter to my colleagues, who agreed that it was strange. And I cautiously continued on with my patrol. I never saw that strange man again, and I hope I never do. Anyway, I have many more memories I'd like to share with you. Stay safe out there, kids. You are rarely truly alone in the forest.